Welcome to Building a Better World, a podcast that investigates the intersection of the metaverse and how we can apply these technologies to improve people's real lives and enhance humanity. The metaverse is more than a web of networks. It is an unfathomable, life-shaping tool. And we, our friends, are here to dive headfirst into the way these technologies can improve our life and the world around us. I'm your host, Hrish Lotlikar. Get ready to discover how we can build a better world in 3, 2, 1. Hey, Jacob, how's it going? It's great to have you today on the Building a Better World podcast. Great to see you here.
Hey, Hrish, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, today I'm thrilled to introduce Jacob Meyer, who's the head of marketing at Metaverse HQ. Jacob brings a wealth of experience to the table, having worked with startups and Fortune 100 companies in sales, business development, and team leadership. He's passionate about emerging technology, fostering communication, and challenging the status quo to promote growth. Jacob, it's great to have you here, and I'm excited to hear your insights on the topic we'll be discussing today.
Yeah, looking forward to talking. Let's get right into it.
Awesome. I'd love to hear a bit about your career and kind of, your background and kind of what led you to Metaverse HQ and why you're passionate about that mission.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I started my career in sales and business development. I really liked the ability to, really kind of be the champion of your own success. You kind of get what you put in, you get out what you put into it. So I really like that, being able to do more to achieve more and not really be sort of unbound in the heights there. And from there, I went more into kind of product management and growth in that sense. So I worked for a health tech startup, and I was really excited to, push the healthcare industry forward. And I wanted to use kind of my love for technology and innovation to really make a lot of bounds and strides there. There's a lot of people still doing things on paper and a lot of very outdated ways. But I kind of quickly realized that there was a lot of red tape in that industry, and it was very hard to push things forward. And I knew I wanted to be somewhere more fast-paced and more on the cutting edge of technology. So that was when I really just decided in my life that if I wanted to be happy, if I wanted to be successful and go to, push myself to my full potential, I had to just dive into kind of crypto and blockchain, because that's where I saw, the world going. That's where I thought the cutting edge was. And from there, I explored a lot of different opportunities. I was looking for something more traditional originally. So like for a more established kind of brand, like an Alchemy that provides, infrastructure to developers and things like that, or a blockchain foundation like Near. So I tried out a few contract positions at those companies, and it still felt a little too corporate for me, not exactly the perfect fit. And then once I found Metaverse HQ, I really found it as a member initially, just through my interest in the blockchain and interest in NFTs. And that was where I kind of just fell in love, started spending all my time, and was actually making more money just trading NFTs in the early days than I was at my, full-time position. And eventually I just had the courage and the, forethought to really just dive in full time. And yeah, from there it's been history.
Awesome. And from kind of being in this space now and having the opportunity to kind of work with partners and companies, what would you say is kind of the biggest kind of goals or vision that you have for how we, get the mainstream in, and kind of how do we kind of grow this movement of the metaverse?
Yeah, I think like the biggest goals and the easiest way to make things mainstream is really just to make it as easy as possible and as simple for people to interact and understand and see real value. just by providing like actual use cases that make sense for them and not making it some speculative technology or some huge deal, just making it something that they're familiar with, like interacting with a payment platform or a ticketing service or buying an online good or buying a digital collectible in a game. It doesn't have to be some groundbreaking experience with NFTs, plastered all over it. It just needs to be something that provides value to their life and is easy for them to understand. And that's really where we're going to see mainstream adoption, is when people don't even know that they're using the technology and that it's just something that they would do normally for their life, rather than them going out on a limb and trying something new. There's always going to be the people that are, the early adopters and want to be the guinea pigs to try things, and they're going to go jump through hoops and things to do that. But in order to get mainstream adoption, you need to get the other tail, which is going to be the people that are, just comfortable doing what they know and trying to just provide value for themselves.
Can you give me some examples of what you think of those use cases are? I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that. We're very focused at SuperWorld in exactly that, which is, how do we clarify and crystallize for business owners how they can utilize a platform like SuperWorld to bring real world utility to themselves and their business and to their real life. Well, what are some things that you talk to clients about in terms of use cases for the metaverse?
Yeah, well, right now, in terms of like actually practically talking with clients, it's usually not about these certain topics. There are, larger clients with more established kind of brands and who have existing footings in Web 2 that are thinking about these things kind of longer term. Like maybe Starbucks is a good example of, having different loyalty programs and providing value through NFTs like that through different, activations. But I think like at the simplest level, gaming is obviously kind of the easiest parallel in terms of there's just an obvious like activation that will eventually happen where, all the games that you play right now, League of Legends is a perfect example where there's not really a pay to win mechanic, or it's not like everything needs to be an NFT in terms of the actual game. But the things like skins or cosmetics and, different items, being able to, one of the most frustrating things right now is not being able to actually trade or interact with your friends. And like, if I have a skin for a character that I don't use, that's completely useless to me. And it's kind of random that I'm able to get those through the game right now. And being able to trade that and actually own that, or just gift it even for free to my friends, would be, a great value, just so that they can enjoy the game more. And then I can potentially get something in return. So that actual ownership of the item adds a lot of value to the game. But right now that's not possible. And the problem with getting existing companies to make the leap and do that is that they're not really incentivized to do that right now, because they can just sell more skins and make more money without it. But eventually, I believe that people will kind of crack a model or take that next leap, and it will drive users to that new game if it's compelling enough. And then others will be forced to kind of follow the model, like we've seen with free-to-play games where, initially people thought the only way to make money on a game was charging $60 for it. Now there are tons of games where it's actually free to play, but they make more money by selling these cosmetic items and kind of in-game activations.
Yeah, I think the gaming industry, as it relates to utilizing the assets that we spend time on in a game and being able to, again, take all of that time and energy spent and be able to potentially take that to other places, to have that as part of your identity, maybe have that as part of a portfolio of assets that you can potentially sell in the future. and you can accrete value to is very interesting to us as well. And I think it's a great use case. In gaming as a category itself, obviously, and that's for many people a way that they think that people are going to get into the metaverse, right? I mean, like one of the things that a lot of people say is, gaming is a route to kind of mass adoption of this technology or the technologies here. And I agree with that in some ways. I also think that a lot of this technology is going to be adopted through abstraction of the technology itself and really looking at the benefits of the technology, whether you're talking about ticketing, whether you're talking about digital fashion, whether you're talking about e-commerce. So there's a lot of different kind of categories in addition to gaming, which I think is interesting. So I'm glad you brought up a variety of different kind of use cases there. Gaming is a great one too. And the reason I'm asking this question is, like, a lot of people think of the metaverse and they think that it kind of is a certain category of person that's into this or getting into this already. And gamer is like an easy kind of way of thinking about that category. What other type of people besides gamers do you think are naturally kind of inclined to understand these technologies and want to be able to adopt these technologies in your real life? And the reason I'm asking you that is, business owners want to attract certain demographics. And gamers is one category of a demographic they want to attract. But are there other demographics that you think that businesses or business leaders want to kind of go after who are attracted naturally to the metaverse?
Yeah, I think taking a step back, when we think of the metaverse, it's kind of like a very misunderstood term or very kind of nebulous. Like, there's no real right or wrong answer for what is the metaverse. I don't think there's like a clear definition, at least at this point. Like, I would consider us being on Zoom right now, we're technically in the metaverse, right? Like, anything kind of online interaction with another human or kind of now we have all these AI stuff going on as well. So I think that just really connecting virtually is what I kind of consider the base layer of the metaverse. There's a lot of things on top of that, but in terms of what kind of user that attracts, I really think it's just about people that are, very curious about what kind of new technology can bring. And that can be through various different applications, like in business or just, for providing more goods and services to the world. I think that if we're going to talk about, like use cases, for example, gaming's its own category. But if you want to go down to just like, if you're looking at like someone with a wallet or Web3 sign-on, I think that like provides tremendous value and people don't really see it or understand until you really feel it. Right now, to log in, like with Web 2, you have like a Google account or you have your phone number and, you kind of have to sign in that way throughout anything. But with your Web 3 wallet, being able to have that one-click sign-on, being able to store your data and your assets across all these different platforms and have them be able to interact with your information natively and choosing what information you're actually giving them rather than them owning that themselves is a really cool way. It's something that applies to anyone who touches, any consumer facing app across the internet. And once there's more kind of utility or ways to interact, like messaging apps and, social media that's tied directly to your Web3 wallet, it just kind of opens the world for possibilities. And what's different from having a string of numbers and letters like a wallet address versus a phone number? Until you add that to your contacts list, it really doesn't make too much of a difference there. So it's not something that's unfamiliar to people or that we haven't done before. And it's just taking that next step to build the infrastructure to support those types of models. But to answer your questions about the users, I think it's really just about people that are super curious right now. Like I said, I think we just need more actual infrastructure to use these tools and to make it accessible to people. And then, they can see those sorts of benefits and they don't have to really go out of their way to access them or use them.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and kind of how we're thinking about it as well, is really how do we make it useful and really easy to get on board? How do we reduce the hurdles of just a mainstream user to get into the metaverse and then
And it's
provide that
tough.
benefit?
It's a bit of like a chicken and egg situation too, because
Yeah.
even if it is super frictionless, like
Yeah.
just because it's easy to use doesn't necessarily mean like I need to use it. Where it's like for Web3, because there's so little network effect of people in Web3. It's such a niche of people at the moment where why would I ever get off Twitter? That's where everyone already is. So it takes a while to have that shift where you have a compelling enough case where people will actually use it and have that sort of community and engagement there.
Yeah, the opportunity to kind of have that community engagement and aspect of, how do you enable people to not only onboard easy, but also to have this understanding of the benefit, but also have the ownership of that platform or that community, or the ticket that they're buying, whatever it is, they're able to kind of feel like they're a stakeholder in that, I think is something that is very powerful here. And again, comes from Web3 that people need to understand. I always say that if you agree that we're all becoming more virtual, like in some of our activities, and by the way, at SuperWorld, we're really about the real world, the physical world, but how do we use virtuality to improve that? But if you agree that, parts of your life are becoming more virtual and you enjoy that, how do you realize that you want to own that virtual aspect of your life and be able to, have the opportunity to benefit from the time that you're spending in that virtual part of your life, just as you would do in your physical life, and have that community. So yeah, totally love that perspective. The idea of what's coming in terms of technology is also really intriguing to most people. I mean, you see what's happening with ChatGPT and ChatGPT 4. What do you think the future is going to be? What's coming? I mean, what are you excited about in terms of hardware or software that's going to really accelerate the pace here?
Yeah, ChatGPT is a whole can of worms that I think is, incredibly exciting. And there's a ton of other people working on similar things. Everyone's kind of, the race to figuring out what the best model is there. But I think it'll be a continually evolving thing. And, like you just said, GPT-4 just came out and GPT 3.5 was already, doing some incredible things. But we've seen that, it can audit smart contracts for you. It can, write legal documentation to sue people that are, spamming your phone. It can, really do sort of almost anything that you ask of it. And I think that what's exciting for me is that people are worried about, AI taking people's jobs, which will happen. And I think is overall a good thing because it can let people focus on, hopefully more important things or things that humans are better at, or just reduce their time in jobs that aren't as valuable. But what's really exciting is that, it's really just another tool to add to your toolbox, where I think the people that will be most successful will be the ones that are leveraging that technology to do things quicker, to do things more efficiently. And it just lets you accomplish more, where maybe if you're starting your own business, you need someone to help you make the website. You need someone to help you with marketing. You need someone to help you with, sales. You need a lot of other things. But with ChatGPT, maybe you can accomplish all of those things with just yourself, as long as you're, able to use your virtual AI assistant to, help you get the foundation for the other things, where they can build the website for you. They can, help you make marketing materials or get you a list of people and leads to reach out to. And it just lets you be a lot more efficient with your time. And I think people are going to start getting better and better with it. And I need to be better with it myself, where you just really need to get in there and play around and think like, all right, I have these tasks to do for today. Instead of doing them how I normally would, how can I potentially use ChatGPT to do those more efficiently? Or make them even more impactful. And then, yeah, really just learning from there and seeing what makes sense and what doesn't.
Yeah, I heard a bit about what's coming with ChatGPT 5. And,
There's always the next one, right?
Yeah, no. And then the ChatGPT 5 is going to have 3D, is what I heard. So that's going to be very, applicable to the metaverse and what we're building and, what many people are building in the space. So I just can't wait, but this is coming super fast. So the opportunity to use, AI to, enhance your ability to create marketing or, a website or to write and other things that we're doing every day is very exciting. So I think that the evolution of these technologies as it happens more and more faster and they use each other to make more technology come. There's a really great book, The Future is Coming Faster Than You Think by Peter Diamandis, which I really enjoyed. I want to kind of go into a couple of things in terms of kind of your life as well, just, to get to know more about kind of what keeps you energized about this space. When you're really into the future and you're into kind of, evangelizing for new technologies, you got to keep your energy up and you got to be out and about and always kind of talking to people and thinking and reading. What are some things that you do in your daily life that kind of help you either get more and more motivated to kind of do what you do or help you kind of unwind and focus or, relax? Tell us more about kind of what you in your personal life do.
Yeah, I would say my job is, usually extremely busy just with a ton of meetings. And that's what keeps me energized, where internally, the meetings are really powerful just because we have such a amazing group of individuals that have just came together, just by out of pure passion for what we're building and what we see the future as. So it's really exciting for me when we have internal meetings to just get aligned and figure out, what is that next step? How can we make progress and providing more value to our community and the world as a whole? And then for external meetings, I get really excited because I get to see a ton of new products every day. And it's easy to get discouraged at points because, there's a lot of things where everyone's trying to find the right fit or provide value or just make some money. And it doesn't always mean that they're going to come up with the, next groundbreaking idea or their best product. So there's most of the things we say no to, and most of the things we don't actually move forward with just because we don't think it's ready or it's not the right product to accomplish the goal. But when you do find that one product or that one game that really just hits the nail on the head, that's what makes it all worth it. Like most recently, we just activated and kind of incubated Blur, which is the, now the number one NFT marketplace in the world. And that was really exciting because it was just such an instant feeling of, oh, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. They're solving the problems that we have as pro traders, which is what a lot of our community consists of, and making it a better experience for us to trade and just do our daily lives. And then, you see the team and how willing they are to listen to feedback and take our advice and move the product forward. And it's just such a good synergy. And I know that there's going to be so many more of these different products and activations that we see across the next few years. So that's what really keeps me motivated is just, I know that there's always going to be something new. There's always going to be someone building something amazing. And I trust that we're so deeply ingrained at this point that we're going to be the ones to find it. And even if we're not the first to find it, we'll be, the very close second just through our amazing network of people. And then I think because that people say you quit your 9 to 5 to work 24/7, I think that's it's pretty all encompassing of my time. So outside of that, I really just try to relax. I watch a lot of reality TV. I play, a lot of video games with my friends. And I just try to kind of shut off my brain a little bit and, get away from it. And that helps me kind of refocus and think about things differently when I do come back. I also like taking walks late at night, which maybe is weird. I've got like a nice trail outside my apartment. So it's just super calming and peaceful. I feel like I'm kind of the only one in the world when I'm walking late at night. And it just helps me clear my head, focus, and just take deep breaths.
That's awesome. No, that's really important to have an energizing group of people around you that are passionate about, you know, the mission that you're on. So that's great. And then to be able to, you know, also to have kind of some meditative time, it looks like, from those walks to kind of realign your focus and to relax. And yeah, so that's pretty amazing. You know, I think that the technology here and, you know, the immersive tech and, you know, other aspects of what we're building here as we relate to the metaverse, I think also can bring some of those benefits to us in our real life, something that we think a lot about at SuperWorld. I'll ask you one other question about, you know, this societal kind of aspect of this. You know, how do you think that as we evolve technology, as we start getting into use cases, as we get into other aspects of the benefits of the metaverse and people's lives outside of gaming into real world utility, what do you think that day that you just described, what's going to be different about that? Are you going to be taking those late night walks? I sure will, just to be clear. I like the physical world. But do you think most people are, or do you think they're going to be going to the moon? Or do you think they're going to go into weightlessness? Or do you think, you know, are they going to go on a trip because they all want to travel together and you can do that with presence in, you know, virtual reality? So just curious, you know, is there going to be changes in our day? We already see what Zoom does, right? We don't have to meet up in person to do this podcast. What's going to change?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, sort of all of the above, depending on, you know, what you find interesting or what excites you or what you just have fun doing. I think, like, you know, VR right now, being able to sit courtside at a Mavs game just through my glasses like that is a super compelling use case, you know, to be able, instead of having to, you know, buy tickets to a game and sit, you know, in the top row necessarily, or just, you know, deal with the traffic and go through all these things. So there is definitely like benefits to doing things virtually. And I think like VR chat right now is like a pretty excellent example where, you know, you'll have people meeting at these virtual bars and there'll be, you know, 10-foot tall ogres and like tiny little dwarves, and they can just represent themselves however they, you know, see most comfortable and interact with people that, you know, are doing that the same. So I think like people will just be able to express themselves more and have, you know, deeper experiences with things that they would do naturally in the real world or that they wish they could do. But the virtual kind of habitat just reduces the friction for them to kind of be their true selves. And I think, you know, the world seems to get a little bit weirder as people kind of embrace themselves. But I think that's just kind of a natural progression, and we'll be able to connect more deeply with smaller groups of people that, you know, really see the world how you do, and just allow people to kind of truly be themselves and explore what that means as people. I think like the physical world confines you a little bit more to kind of the status quo, but the virtual world really just allows you to, you know, be your true self and explore what that even means.
Yeah, kind of opens up possibilities that currently we might be restricted by space and time and other things. And maybe we can time travel even with some of these technologies and being able to see the world in different ways and interact with our surroundings and our friends in different ways. Exactly. So yeah, that's cool. Very interesting.
Exactly. I think that if you can dream it, it's possible. And yeah, we're kind of seeing that. So it's a matter of time more than anything.
Yeah, it's super exciting. To close up, I want to ask you a couple of questions that are just more kind of understanding of what kind of excites you in terms of technology and this metaverse or in life in general. If there's anyone in the world, you know, alive or in history, that you would want to take to lunch and you would want to ask, questions to and learn from, who would that be and what would you want to know?
Yeah, I think I would honestly, at this point, I would just really want to talk to, I'm in between two now. I think Elon Musk is just super interesting, and I'm a big fan of Tesla. He's fell out a little bit of favor just with, some of his recent happenings, and he's just trying to do a lot and things like that. But I think more accurately, I would want to talk to Vitalik and just learn, I'm just so curious how he was set on this path, how he, started to build out his vision for Ethereum and actually kind of achieve that. And I played World of Warcraft for, the past 10 plus years. And I know that he kind of got his vision for Ethereum and decentralization because his class got nerfed, or basically they made it weaker. And he saw kind of the power that the centralized entity had by making him less effective in the game, and him wanting to avoid that in building out Ethereum. So I'd just be really curious to pick his brain on what set him down that path, what his overall vision was, and how he actually kind of started to achieve that, because it just it's incredibly impressive and has changed the world so much already and brought so many other people to try to innovate and compete with it as well, which is just going to make the best product overall. And yeah, I recently actually was able to meet his dad in Denver, which was a surreal experience that just kind of happened. He was just such a kind-hearted and just interesting individual. So I would love to meet Vitalik.
Yeah, that's awesome you say that. I had an opportunity to interview Dimitri, his father, Dima, on this podcast. So amazing. Yeah, we had a great discussion, and we went through that about Vitalik's childhood. So you should watch it.
Definitely.
And look for, Google his name and SuperWorld on YouTube, and you'll find exactly that. I was very curious about very curious about those questions. So that's awesome that you bring that up. And he's a great example of someone I would also want to kind of learn about, some of those motivations and what he's excited about in the future. One last question before we close today, and it's been a pleasure to kind of go in depth with you here on a variety of topics. SuperWorld's a virtual world that covers the surface of the earth. It enables you to buy virtual real estate anywhere on Earth and become a stakeholder in those locations. So you can build anything, discover and monetize anything in the world, any type of content, 3D, 2D, audio. So if there's a place in the world that you would want to buy a piece of virtual real estate, where in the world would that be? And what would you want to create there immersively or in integrating Web3? What would be your kind of dream story or, utility that you want to bring to that place?
My mind just immediately went to Vegas, because that just feels the most kind of like anything's possible, kind of cyberpunky if we're going like into the future, and less rules and regulations. But obviously there's less rules and regulations just inherently in the metaverse. But I think I'd want to build like a theme park in Vegas. I'd want to build something super exciting, lots of like interactive competitions and just thrills and an unforgettable experience whenever you go there. I want to build a crazy theme park in Vegas, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, Vegas is fun. I've lived in Vegas before, and I think they definitely would be open to another theme park. They always are. So building in VR or AR in Vegas is very interesting. We have a lot of super citizens that own a lot of the Strip. So lots of awesome places there to build in immersive tech and Web3. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much, Jacob, for being on today and sharing more of your story at Metaverse HQ. How can people find you if they want to learn about you and Metaverse HQ?
Yeah, if you want to find us, just go to Twitter at Metaverse_HQ, or you can go to our website, mvhq.io. And yeah, you can learn more about what it's like to partner with us and work with us on a collaboration level. Or, if you're just an individual member, you can join the community and hopefully find a lot of value just learning with everyone else and doing a lot of these partner activations, testing out kind of the latest technology and products in Web3.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd love to partner with you at SuperWorld. So excited about having that conversation. Thanks again for being on a Building a Better World podcast. And thanks for all that you do to build a better world at Metaverse HQ and in your life.
Yeah, thank you, Hrish. And super excited to talk more.
Yep. See you soon. Thanks. Thank you for listening to this episode of Building a Better World. For more, search Building a Better World in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. On behalf of the team here at SuperWorld, thanks for listening.